Teen who led protests in Saudi Arabia at the age of 13 faces death penalty.
Here's a summary of the article.
An 18-year-old boy who was arrested at age 13 for taking part in an anti-government protest in Saudi Arabia now reportedly faces the death penalty after being held for years in pre-trial detention. CNN reported Friday that Murtaja Qureys, a young Saudi activist who had been active in protest movements for years before his arrest, could be put to death after being charged with firing weapons at security officers and constructing Molotov cocktails. Advertisement. He has denied the accusations and reportedly says that he was forced to give a confession under duress. The country's age of criminal responsibility is 12, according to CNN, and there is no age limit for the death penalty in Saudi Arabia, though the country says it does not impose capital punishment on those who committed crimes under that age. His death, if carried out, would be the third this year in Saudi Arabia involving someone who was younger than 18 at the time of their alleged offense. Held a call with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in April, when the two discussed the country's human rights record following the slaying of Jamal Khashoggi, a Washington Post columnist, U.S. resident and critic of the Saudi government. Several women's rights activists were released by the country last month ahead of their trials and have since claimed to have been tortured while in custody.
This post received a score of 7,937, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
13 or 30. The royal family will kill you regardless.
They don't discriminate by age, really striking a blow for equality.
I don't know if you were trying to bring some levity into this, but you're right. They don't discriminate by age, they'll just kill you regardless. From the article,
execute a 4-year-old for babbling the wrong words up.
You joke, but something like this hasn't actually happened, has it?
It wouldn't be any worse than what they already do. They've executed people for sorcery in the last 8 years, and have executed people for what are basically thought crimes.
Glad our government is showing support of a country that executes its people who speak out against the royal family, who lead a war of genocide on an entire smaller country, brutally murders journalists, and has been linked to support terrorist groups that our soldiers are fighting.
Greater than glad our government is showing support of a country that executes its people who speak out against the royal family, who lead a war of genocide on an entire smaller country, brutally murders journalists, and has been linked to support terrorist groups that our soldiers are fighting. WWE, yes, World Wrestling Entertainment, just held a PPV there. Oh, did I mention none of the female wrestlers were able to perform, due to their decently laws. Oh, and guess who Vince McMahon's wife works for? It's almost a business deal brokered on treating women just like Saudis do, for the prince, to receive $XXXXXX.
The same company which was at one point in time blindly gung-ho on red-blooded hyper-patriotism. I was still young when 9/11 occurred, but I remember the WWF 9/11 tribute show on SmackDown like it happened yesterday. Terrorism will never bring us down. The WWE getting into bed with Saudi Arabia now stands as a new defining moment for me, one that has led me to think that patriotism in the US is little more than a marketing tactic utilized in a religiously capitalistic society. I think the thing that bothers me the most is that none of the patriots in the lower classes seem willing to question any of this.
I think most of the world started to realize about 18 years ago that the US population doesn't yet understand the difference between patriotism and nationalism.
As someone from the rest of the world, we think there really is no such thing as patriotism anymore. Support the troops who sacrifice their lives for us, is such a biblical idea, someone being sacrificed for sins you had no part in, but it is constantly sold like not being a part of the militaristic cult makes you a bad person. So many thousands of wasted American lives, good men and women who are constantly taught that this is somehow for the average American person. The average American just wants a life and healthcare.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.